Okay, good morning. Is anyone here? I'm going to wait for a response in the chat before I go on, because if I'm just going to talk to myself, this might be pointless. Anybody? Sure. I'm going to wait for a response in the chat before I... Oh, good morning, creepy blonde girl. I think there's about a 30-second delay here. Well, you're the only one that dropped by. So if no one comes, I'm probably not going to stay on. Oh, hello. Hello. It's Friday. I'm over-caffeinated. It's morning. I just watched Jennifer Lawrence little clips of her on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and it was hilarious and everything I want to happen in the world. And then I made the mistake of watching any portion of a news program will stress me out to the limits. Like, everything bad that's happening in the world can be summed up on the news in 5 minutes or less. So I literally have to often avoid it at all costs. Good morning, Bernadette. Tony, where have you been, Tony, to metal? Where have you been, man? I have some stories picked out, and I'm going to let you guys choose. Here's the choices. I'm going to tell you the choices. Option 1, 25 frightened people leak their hometown horror story. Option 2, 41 short stories of unforgettable evil, and I'm going to warn you, those can be really bad. Or option 3, and if you guys don't like these, I'll look for something else. 5 insane asylums and the horrors that happen there. So I'm going to let you guys choose option 1, option 2, or option 3. Good morning, Sarah. Yeah, she did, and it was hilarious, but she hosted the entire show, Creepy Blonde Girl, and it was great. It was great. Annie, good morning. That creepy narration. My coffee's still kicking in. My heart's beating really fast, but the brain isn't being affected by it yet. So if I say good morning and I didn't say your name, I meant to say your name. Option 2, 2 votes for Jamie Richards. Yo, what's up? Option 2. Okay. When I did the story on people that did their confessions of evil and everybody wanted a part 2, I had found a part 2, but it was like the worst thing I had ever read. Literally, one of the confessions was a guy that was a pedophile, and he said that his mother always asked why he wasn't married and had kids, and he said because he was a pedophile. And like, that was the confession, but that wasn't even the worst one. So I couldn't even read those stories at all because they were really bad. So we're going to go with option 2. And then after that, I want to talk to you guys about this thing. Maybe I'll talk to you about it. That's really like on my mind. And maybe it's media hysteria, but I really wish I didn't know about it. All right, so option 2, loading up option 2. I'm hoping it's not the same thing that I was going to read before or that I read before. I'm going to find out here in a second. Let me see here. I wrote... I'm pausing because I'm making sure I didn't already read these. What is happening? I'm sorry. That was something I loaded earlier. The stories are loading right now. Good morning, Nelson. Tony is sick. Arcelia, did I say that right? Arcelia Ray, good morning. Did I skip anybody? Unforgettable Evil. Hold on a second. It's still loading, and I want to make sure that I didn't read these before. Oh no. Okay. Well, the first one I'm going to read is bad right off the bat, and it's number 2 because I don't know if I've heard the first one before, but it seems like I have. So this one is, I was working in the ER of a local hospital one time, and I had this baby come in, bleeding from everywhere, but we could not pinpoint where it was coming from. Eventually, we were about to put a breathing tube in and lifted the baby's chin to realize somebody had slit its throat. Like, you don't even need more to the story than that. That's just, oh my God, just terrible. Are you sure you want me to go on with these? Because they're bad. Mark Selby, phone being stupid and won't load live stream, dropping in while working, saying hi. Mine was doing that the other day too. When Markbot was interviewing Mr. Scarecrow, and then I think Swamp Dweller was doing a live stream, and someone else was also, and it wouldn't load any of the live streams. I don't know if it was YouTube or my phone, but I'm thinking it might have been YouTube. I don't know. Let's talk about marshmallows instead. Nah. Do I ever talk about marshmallows? I did a few comedy stints, but no. I think most people that come to my channel know it's not for the faint of heart. Okay. Let's see. My friend and his mother were murdered during a break-in at their house during Christmas. After his dad and brother got out of the hospital, I went by to give my condolences and spent most of my time sitting in my friend's room talking to his brother. It later turned out the brother hired 2 people to kill his family, shoot him in the arm, and then escape to try and inherit the family wealth. Wow. Oh my God. That to me is terrifying when you find out that you were sitting right next to someone who was a complete psychopath and you didn't know it. Those are the scarier people to me that you don't know are complete psychopaths. All right. When I was young, a stray cat used to hang around my house a lot. My dad would give it milk and some food all the time. One day, an old racist couple moved next door. I feel like I've read these before. An old racist couple moved next door. My mom and I went over to welcome them. They creaked the door open and yell, "Get off our property, you fucking Filipinos, and tell your blank neighbors to stay away." She used the N-word there. The neighbors used the N-word. Well, one day they saw my dad feed the stray cat. Later that afternoon, my dad went to take the trash out and heard a horrible crying near our fence. He goes to look and finds the cat wrapped in barbed wire, bloodied, and the tail cut off. I helped my dad take the cat out, called animal services and the police on the neighbors. I was younger, so I'm not sure what happened. But one day they just packed up and left. That's like a dream come true when terrible people just leave, but they should have gotten punished. Yeah, they're true. Bernadette, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, awful. Oh, the delay seems shorter than before. Let's see. Sometimes I don't know how these are going to turn out. This one looks kind of long. Okay. So I lived in London, UK during the riots they had in the summer of 2011. I lived in Clapham Junction. Maybe I'm pronouncing that right, maybe not. Right near the corner, up the street from Debenhams, and across from a place called Party Superstore. I saw a lot of bad shit that night, and that made me feel uncomfortable with humanity. A mother holding the metal gate of an off-license shop open so that her 9 or 10-year-old could squeeze in and start passing bottles of booze out to her. A herd of women walking into Debenhams empty-handed, then back out with fully stuffed roller luggage. People throwing rocks at photographers, but the absolute worst feeling I ever had was seeing the look of terror on people's faces in the windows of the flats across the road when they realized some looters had set the costume shop beneath their apartments on fire. It was like staring into an aquarium of panic. I think the looting was pretty bad and the vandalism too, but the complete lack of regard for the people living in the apartments above this party superstore was chilling. I can remember a group of guys coming out of the shop in blank white masks, and one of them had a jester's hat on and swayed beneath the streetlight while watching the shop catch fire. The smell of the fire stuck with me for days. The guy who owned the shop, named Duncan, was a really great guy, too. He ran a charity for Burmese orphans. That was a hell of a night. Damn. I think that would be terrifying to live through riots, but chaos in different parts of the world seems to be normal, which is awful. No, I don't think, Nelson, I don't think anyone would feel remorse over that. I think that, I know that sometimes vigilante justice is inaccurate, but I think sometimes instant justice is more than deserved. But, you know, everyone to each their own. Some people are just shit. Filipinos only eat black dog. Huh? Oh, you were? You were near that when it happened. Good morning, Paul. Well, what did you see, Creepy Narration? What did you see there? Hello, Autumn. Harmony. Did I miss anyone else? I'm going to scroll up for a second. I don't think so. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, please, like, raise your hand. Wait, Arsene, okay. I think I got everybody. If I didn't, please let me know that I didn't say anything to you. Because I have to change screens when I'm reading this, so I can't see the chat thing. Okay. Here's another one about a riot. Okay. It doesn't really say where it's at. It says, sorry, excuse me. Shoot, I accidentally clicked on an ad. I hate that. Trying to exit it out. Okay. About 8 to 10 years ago, a riot broke out in the third world country from which I originate, and they don't say where that is. I was 10 or 12 years old, depending. We lived close to a short commercial street. That rage-filled evening, I witnessed one of the most heartbreaking, evil things to date. Oh, I'm scared to read this now. I'm not scared of what I'm going to read. I'm scared of what you're going to hear that I then cannot take back. So, over the period of a couple of hours, a huge angry mob accumulated. There was loud ambient noise of people shouting and screaming. So my curiosity led me to investigate, even though I was told to stay away. As I watched from a distance, the mob started with a poor man's shoe shop. A humble man who probably had no insurance whatsoever and had a small fortune's worth of stock at the property. He begged and pleaded the looters to stop. He got shoved around and abused, which led to him breaking down into tears soon after. Some heartless waste of a human being threw a Molotov cocktail or something similar into the shop despite seeing the owner beg and cry. As the fire blazed out of control, the mob moves on to the next victim, while the owner retreats to the middle of the road in anguish. He sat there sobbing, watching his major financial investment turn to ash. Oh, let me see. Morning. Good morning, Gothic Librarian. You know, I always forget to say this. I always forget to say the Gothic Librarian, and I forgot that in the Halloween special, so I'm sorry. Good morning, Christian. Did I miss anybody else? You're going to take some Delsum and sleep. Bye, Tony. I haven't seen you in forever. Don't be a stranger. Okay, let's go on to the next one. These next two are like super short. I saw a guy abandon a child. Just pulled up to a random area near a park, threw the kid out of the car and drove off. I won't forget hearing some other man who was in the area screaming at the driver as he pulled away. Your son. Stop, man. Stop. Jesus. People are awful. Next one is day 2 working at a photography store 12 years ago. 13-year-old girl drops off film. It is of an adult man molesting her. Called cops, justice served, but left us with the serious what the fuck. That's a brave little kid. That's a brave kid. That is a brave kid. Good morning, Shady Dawn Pictures. Okay. Nothing near as horrible, but I lived in Paris during the terrorist shooting, and the next day some idiot thought it was a fun idea to light a firecracker in a bar. Well, it is horrible because if you've ever seen someone who has PTSD, and it can come from anything traumatic, it doesn't have to be from war, it can be from any traumatic event, that probably sent people right back into fits of freaking out, so it was very cruel. Yes, good morning, everyone. Okay, let me go back. I had a few girls set me up to be attacked by another girl on a trip to a nearby town. I feel like I've read these before. I don't know if I read them from my channel or not, though. I think I had them lined up. I don't know. Okay, so she attacked me at a party, and while she strangled me, her boyfriend poured beer in my eyes so I couldn't see. At the time, I thought the girls had made the trip with the ones who set everything up were my friends. After the whole ordeal, ended up I came to them crying, and all they said was, "Fuck, we should have taken pictures." Yeah, wow. I'm not sure what has happened to society lately. I know, like, if any of you watch anybody else's channel, like a big YouTuber's channel, like I was just watching, I don't watch Shannon Rose. I don't watch her makeup tutorials, but I watch her vlogs because I like vlogs. So anybody that's got vlogs, I'll watch them. And I don't watch them consistently because I have a watch later tab that is filled to the brim with the stuff I'm gonna watch later. Oh, Creepypasta Goblin, good morning. Yeah, I was. But I told everybody as soon as I saw it that I really don't go into group chats very often. I said I would pop in, but I didn't want to be rude and leave, so I just turned off the notifications. You know what I mean? Shady Dawn Pictures, yeah, and the second story, I'm glad it was abandonment and not murder. I just wonder what happened to the child. Was the child Dano Charbonneau? Dano or Dano? Is that number 1, Dano, or number 2, Dano? Just let me know. Yeah, I don't know why. I just wanted to live stream this morning because no one's home, so that means the internet connection should be nice and clear. I didn't even ask you guys. Dano Charbonneau. There's a writer named Joelle Charbonneau. I don't know if you've heard about it because Charbonneau doesn't seem like a very common name. That's why I brought it up. All right, let's go back to the stories. And if anybody knows if I've read these for my other, please let me know. So far, it doesn't seem like anyone's heard these. Recently found out that the property management company we were using was just taking our money and ignoring our tenants for years. They started acting shifty with the rent deposits, and we finally fired them and got into direct contact with the tenants. Found out about all the repairs that the tenants had to scrape their money together to fix themselves, and other things they couldn't afford to fix or weren't bothering them enough to pay for it on their own. I was mortified and so angry. A month later, we fixed everything and are taking bids for some greater improvements of the home. Well, that's not unforgettable evil, but that's just awful. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, Charbonneau. I'm glad. Yeah. There's a writer named Joelle Charbonneau. I just said that 2 seconds ago. Never mind. Moving on. How's everyone this morning? Everyone good? Everyone awake? I know that some people, it's not really morning where you're at, right? It's more like afternoon. Afternoon, possibly evening. I don't know. I thought I would read something too because after Halloween's video took a long time to make and then save and then upload. So I kind of like had Halloween special hangover. Plus I know this is no one's problem, but I have 2 audiobooks that I need to finish this month. One's due on the 21st, and the one after that's even longer than that one. So this month is going to be like very few uploads to the channel because I also promised some Patreon only content. So I need to fulfill my commitment to that as well. So it's going to be probably once a week on my channel for November and once a week on Patreon. What'll be Patreon only content because I really need to get these books done. Because here's the deal. I wanted to try and build up my confidence by, excuse me, by trying to get some more audiobooks going. So one morning I read for 3 audiobooks and then I got them all and I was like, oh my God, I didn't expect that to happen. So I kind of did that to myself, but it's a really good test of getting some work done. Oh, I'm glad it was long. Hey, Monster Mom. Can't say my kid just came home, but want to say you're awesome. Thank you. You're awesome. And I really love the art. I really love that. Like, that's awesome. Call it cultivating mystique. It's snowing here this morning. Yeah, it was snowing here on Halloween, but then it melted by afternoon. Michigan is a weird place. Like, we can have that happen any time of the year, literally any time of the year. It can be 30 degrees in the morning and near 80 by afternoon. It's such a weird place. It's like you can't put winter or summer clothes away, like in a different spot. Like I know there's some states where you can, I know there's probably people here that do that, but if you live here long enough, you know to keep all of your seasonal stuff together all the time. Don't drain yourself. It's important. Well, that's why I'm saying, Monster Mom, that's why I was letting everybody know, you know, what was going on, because I didn't want to just abandon my people that support my channel. But I also have to, you know, legally fulfill my obligations that I signed up for. So I'm from Alaska. Oh my gosh, I'm jealous where I've seen it sun, rain, hail, and snow. Oh my, yeah. It's like that too here, but I'm sure it's warmer here than it is in Alaska. Try living in Latvia. Whoa. It's cold in Copenhagen, but I guess Michigan is like Denmark. You got 4 season clothes. Yeah. Who lives in, so Dano, you're from Alaska. Okay. Quick question. Yeah. Missouri is a weird weather place too. But you have more warm weather. And I'm jealous of that. But I think I'm seasoned to the cold, so I don't know if I could live in the warm all the time. So my question for Alaska is, okay, is there really a certain spot, like what's the longest period of darkness you have where you live in Alaska? I'll just ask that question. Then my question won't sound so stupid, hopefully. Because I don't think that you really know what the weather's like until you live somewhere. You don't have seasons in Missouri, really? So it's always green there? I'm jealous of that. But then that means your bugs are enormous, so I'll pass. I'll pass on that. I'd rather shovel snow than have enormous spiders. I'll visit there. I'll visit warm weather. I'll keep Texas hurricanes, but t-shirt weather at Christmas. You know, Arcelia Ray, Michigan, for the last 2 past Christmases, we didn't turn the heat on at all. It's been pretty warm here. Summer and winter, and that's it. Does it snow in Missouri? It does sometimes, doesn't it? Because I think it snowed in Texas last year, didn't it? Anybody hear me? I'll come back to this. All right. Back to the reading. Let's see. Just a week ago, I was biking down a bike lane on a city street in the middle of rush hour. Some guy comes jogging up the bike lane opposite traffic. I can't swerve around him because of the car traffic, so I keep going, expecting him to hop on the sidewalk. Instead, he punches me in the stomach as I pass by, calling me an asshole. I fell into oncoming traffic and was an inch away from getting run over by a pickup truck. Man, people are dicks. Okay, Dano. Oh, I'm on the bottom of Arctic Circle, so it's like 2 hours of light in the winter. I did spend a winter in Barrow where it stayed dark for 2 months straight, same as summer. 2 months straight? Holy crap. So Barrow, that's where 30 Days of Night was about, right? But they just said 30 days, not 2 months. That's crazy. Sometimes it melts by the end of the day. Okay. The snow, autumn, you meant. You need to prioritize better in the future and one thing at a time, be in the now, and enjoy what you do and get depressed. Wow, 7 hours. Okay. Back to the stories. Let's see. This drunk asshole whom I'm delivering pizza to answers the door with a small dog barking behind him. He's yelling at the dog, which is following him. When he slams the door behind him, he catches the dog's back legs in the door. Then he turns around and kicks the dog so hard it dislodges the dog without the door opening while yelling at him to shut up. I've never wanted to hit a person more in my life. I'm sorry, but I would have hit that person. I probably would have went to jail because there's no way. Well, that person where I live, you would have probably sat in the back of the police car and then they would have arrested the guy that hurt the dog because they're getting a lot better about animal cruelty here. Thank God. But I mean, there's still people that you see. Why do you even have a pet? Why do some people even get a pet? Like, if you're just going to keep it outside on a chain, don't get a dog. Please don't get a dog. Please. For the love of God, don't get a pet if you don't like pets. Newsflash. If you keep a dog outside and you never show it any affection and then you have it for protection, what are they protecting you for? Like, seriously. Who's going to protect someone that doesn't give a crap about them? No one. Hello. Oh, yeah. If you don't like spiders, you don't want to be in Hawaii. They burned as sugarcane. The whole streets look like they're moving. And oh, my God. Yikes. Oh. Yikes. Oh my God. Yeah, Bernadette, you live in Hawaii? Hawaii was, and I'll tell you why it was, it isn't anymore. It was on my number one place that I wanted to go to. I am obsessed with Hawaii. Like, as soon as it's warm here, like May, it's been getting later and later because it seems like our winter has shifted. Like, it really doesn't get really cold here until January lately. Although it did snow on Halloween, it's been happening where it's like a cold for a second in October, and then it's going to get warm again and stay warm until like January. So as soon as it's warm out, I'm like hibiscus obsessed with Hawaii, anything themed Hawaii. Except for a month ago, I had a nightmare. And if anyone's listened to me before, you know that I have a lot of dreams, weird, good, and bad. So I had this dream. I think I started talking about this in another stream, but I don't know if I finished it because my internet got wonky. So I had this dream that I was like a young adult. And this is a while ago because I'm not a baby anymore. I was a young adult and I was living with two friends. Like we had this house or something that we rented, and our lease was up. This is all in a dream, but it doesn't make sense. One of the roommates I don't know. The other one was one of my old friends, and they decided they were moving like across the country, but didn't tell me they weren't going to renew their lease. So in the dream, I'm suddenly panicking because I have to figure out where I'm going to live, and my only options were to suddenly move in with my parents, who were divorced and both living in Hawaii. And I was literally like standing on a map looking at two different islands and having to choose which parent to live with as an adult in Hawaii. And it like ruined Hawaii for me in my dream. Good morning, Anthony. Michael Phosphorus. But yeah, if I ever get to go to Hawaii, I might freak out because of the spiders. Spiders are supposed to be good luck too, but dreams are healthy. I gotta make lunch with ours. Okay, bye, Monster Mom. Bye. Okay. Let's go back. Okay, this one's kind of long. Okay. Back in second grade, we had this teacher who was just mad and evil. No student liked her. No parent liked her. Why did you become a teacher, first of all? And those of the faculty that admitted how they felt also didn't like her. All because she was just a nasty person. You know, I'm going to pause there. When people become police officers, and we all know this isn't accurate, but there's a lot of good police officers out there. There's a series of tests, psychological tests you need to go through before you become an officer. And I really wish that those tests existed for teachers so that we could stop hearing about people who became teachers and then just abuse students and their power. Moving on. Anyway, she was just a nasty person. Description of her would be short, thin, red hair, the face of a crooked-nosed witch, and a medical condition that gave her elephant legs, so she hobbled around on tree trunks. Okay. There was a kid in our class who just did not have an ideal life. Terrible mom, no friends, sad stuff. Well, he has a problem with keeping things tidy. He didn't have a binder for his folder, so his papers were just all over in his backpack. His desk was disorganized, and a lot of our desks weren't perfectly organized either, mine included, but his was the worst. I know I've read this before, but I don't know if I read it for my channel, so I'm sorry if I have. The teacher, sitting at her desk at the front of the class, asks for him to turn in a paper. He lifts up the desk lid and begins to search. After a minute, she asks, "What's taking so long?" The poor guy is panicking because he can't seem to find it after shuffling through the mess a few dozen times. She starts to raise her voice about what the problem is, and she starts her slow hobble up the aisle. Ooh. He is in full emergency mode, looking for this paper and almost in tears because he knows what storm is coming. We all do. Once she gets alongside him and is able to see the disaster that is his desk, she is completely livid. She starts a tirade about how he is a mess and why it's like this, blah, blah, blah. At the peak of her berating, the kid is frozen with his head low and tears rolling down his face. She grabs the desk by the legs, flips it over above their heads, and dumps everything onto the floor. This table flipping act was done in a packed room, so I'm surprised no one nearby got hit by the flip. She then slams it down, and he flinches the last time. She mutters at him to clean it up, and for the rest of the period, through the tears and sobs and shaky hands, he cleans it up while the room is silent, and that queen bitch sits and watches from her desk. Many of my teachers and other faculty members have passed, and I have mourned each and every one, but her death will bring me no sorrow. I hope the day comes when teachers like that no longer exist anywhere in a school at all. But the way that America's public school system is going, I'm not sure what it's going to be like 10 or 20 years from now because there's so many more options for online and at-home schooling. Plus with all the weird shit that goes on at schools with the bullies and then the people that it's just, it seems like a giant mess out of control. In addition to the fact that I don't know how it is in every other state, but in Michigan, it seems like the teachers are groomed to teach kids how to take tests and not really allowed to teach them at all. So I don't know. I don't want to, I'm easily sidetracked here. Bye, creepy narration. Thank you for coming. Oh, you live in Colorado now? Don't you miss Hawaii? They get as big as your hands. Oh, God. Homeschooling my kids. Yeah. The only thing I don't like about the homeschooling factor, which can easily be solved if you hook up with other homeschooling moms and kids, is the social factor that they might miss out on. But part of the reason the public school system used to work was because it helped you transition into adulthood and, you know, working a daily schedule and, you know, how to deal with authority figures properly. But then authority figures started abusing their power. And the work scene is also changing too, where a majority of things will happen remotely from home. Companies that are in the now will realize and are realizing that if you have a really smart working staff, you don't need an enormous office building that you need to pay for the insurance for the building, the building itself, and all the bills that go along with the building. If you can pay people to remotely work, that means that you have to have people you can trust to work for. But I'm saying that homeschooling can really set your kids up for a more accurate future than going to school every day. But everyone is different and you have to do what works for them. I'm just not a big fan of schooling systems that don't allow kids to expand their knowledge and ask questions and have teachers teach them based on, you know, life, not taking tests. Anyways, okay, they're same everywhere. Yeah, it really does, because, you know, being a mom that homeschools your kids, you aren't going to get paid, number one. Number two, you have to be very organized and on the ball. Number three, your kids have to listen to you. And you know as well as I do that that's a huge problem everywhere you go. There are lots of kids that just roll their eyes and don't listen to anything that their moms say. Anyway, moving on. Getting sidetracked, which is bright, shiny thing. Okay. Here's a really short one, and it's kind of funny, but not really. It says, my friend once moved the "You Are Here" sticker on a public map in a major tourist area. Oh my God. It's funny because it didn't happen to me, but can you imagine the confused and lost people for I don't even know how long? Who checks those? Who checks those? And how is that not behind glass or something? That's funny. Oh my God. All right. There used to be a guy in my neighborhood who lived across from my bus stop. No one ever really saw him go outside. Well, one day when all the kids get off the bus, he lets his pit bull out the door. The dog starts attacking the kids, including me and my little brother. My brother and I run toward my house and try to get my BB gun. I wasn't going to try to kill it, but lead it towards me so I could give everyone else a chance to run. Well, the door is locked and I don't have my keys on me. The dog followed us, pins my brother and I up against the porch. We decide to do the thing in Jurassic Park where you stay still and shut up, and it actually worked. My brother and I are up against the porch, facing this dog for a good 5 minutes. Out of nowhere, my mom comes up behind it and slams the dog's head with her keys, making it run back home to its owner, who is laughing his ass off during the whole ordeal. He was arrested the next day, but that dog made me hate dogs for years until I met the nicest dog in the world. But that pit bull bit 3 kids and scratched a 4th. They got checked for rabies and needed shots. Oh my God. Well, I'm on Thought Catalog reading these, and the ads that they have on here are insane. So every time you go to the page, it like loads 3 different times. It's ridiculous. Okay. When I was in 7th grade, a kid I knew but didn't really like because I knew who was an asshole comes up to me and says, "These 2 girls want to talk to me." One of the girls I thought was kind of cute, so I follow him into the part of the field that's out of the sight of the recess supervisor. While I started talking to the girl I liked, the other sneaks up from behind me with a piece of dog shit on a pencil and shoves it in my mouth. Ugh, I pick some of it up and throw it at her, then start throwing up my lunch in the field. The supervisor comes up and asks me what happened and if I'm all right, and I tell her. I wasn't the one that typically rats people out and tattletales, but I told him all the details. That girl was disgusting. So as you probably already know, rumors spread like wildfire in junior high. So stories of me, all ridiculous and most voluntarily picking up the poop, eating it, and enjoying it. I was known as Poop Eater for 4 years. Oh my God. Kids are mean. Why are kids so mean to each other? I think it has a lot to do. Everybody texting, started actually talking face-to-face, communicating. Right. You know what I miss? Handwriting letters, but now that I don't know if everybody, I'm left-handed. In case I've never told that to anybody, I'm left-handed. When I was a kid, that was a thing that you didn't want to tell people because guys wanted to switch you to the right hand. Now it doesn't matter, but it was so ridiculous. But writing is difficult for my left hand because I have partial feeling in my arm and hand, like because I have a back injury. I mean, you can't tell when you look at me, but my whole family knows it because I'll like be carrying something in the house or doing something, and my hand will like sometimes just drop it, or sometimes I'll clamp onto something, like we'll be carrying groceries, and my husband will be like, "Oh, I'll take that," and I'm like, "I can't. I have to go to the counter and set it down, and then my arm will release it." It's really crazy. But I miss the whole point of me saying that was that I miss handwriting things and getting things that are handwritten. I think it's so much more personal, but writing a lot can be exhausting when, yeah. PRC Pride. I see the great pumpkin. He just bit me. I was telling Dark Voices. I don't know if anybody is subscribed to his channel, but if you're not, you should, because he does some really different stuff and I like it. But I was telling him that was going to be in the special, and I'm like, but I don't want to assume that you know what the Great Pumpkin is because I know that some of the younger kids don't know. And he's like, I know what the Great Pumpkin is. But there literally was someone that watched a special that didn't know what the Great Pumpkin was. But I figured that might happen anyway. Okay. I was friends with this guy in high school, and a few years after graduation, he shows up at my house with $38,000 in cash. I really feel like I've read these from my channel before, so if I have and someone knows, please stop me. He tells me that his father left him the money to be given when he turned 21, and he asked me what he should do with it. I told him he should either invest it or use it to further his education. He agreed it was a good idea and asked me to hold his money for a day. He took $300 of it and left. We went to a mutual friend's house, and when the friend found out he came into money, he asked him to get an apartment with him. He did, and he blew all the money partying for a year. Through the course of this year, he scored a girlfriend. At the end of the year, he had nothing. He didn't work. He smoked and drank all the money away. His roommate informed him that he was going to get a new apartment with his girlfriend, ditching him now that he's broke. My friend moved into his girlfriend's house with her parents. After a month of sponging off of them and fighting constantly with his girlfriend, the father comes in and says, "This isn't working out. How about we all just agree that this isn't good for anyone and you just move out?" My friend begged him to give him 2 weeks to turn this around, and the father assumed he meant he'd finally get a job. he got the girlfriend pregnant. The family now fully supports him by buying him a house. Last I heard, he's still doing nothing while his wife, they got married shortly after she got pregnant, works full-time as a cook. Well, they probably save money on daycare, though. I don't know. Oh, my goodness. All right. Yeah, I really feel like I've read this one now, so if I have, someone stop me. I was at the zoo with my family years ago. I was maybe 9, and we were at the gift shop before going home. I'm just wandering, and I see a father and young son around 6 with thin glasses and a cast on one arm. I forget what he did. He asked his dad for a toy or something, and the dad flipped the fuck out. Didn't start screaming or anything, but he grabs his kid's uninjured arm, kneels down, and whispers, "If you don't stop with that, I'm going to break your other arm." His voice and the way he said it was terrifying, and I couldn't believe what I had just seen. Ugh. Want to thank you for the t-shirt and sweatshirt I ordered. They are great and feel awesome. Which ones did you get? Did you get the did you get pink spookies, purple and green? I figured people would really like that. And I made it so really whoever bought pink spookies art shirts, it's just at cost. I mean, I didn't feel right to make profit off of someone else's art. And I thought it would be a good way to get her out there and get people some cheaper merch. Okay. I was leaving a pub at closing time, and there was a ruckus going on in the car park. I turned to see a huge drunk guy throw a small guy on the floor, put his head against the curb, and lay the fuck into him, kicking and stamping. I was almost sick at the sight of this. Me and a couple of friends ran over, threw the big guy off. There were 3 of us, sort of medium-sized, and it was hard to keep him down. I smacked him in the face and asked him what the fuck he thought he was doing, and apparently the little guy looked at the big guy's girlfriend in the pub. The little guy was out cold. I stuck around for the ambulance and police to give a statement. Not sure what happened to the big guy, but the little guy was in the hospital for a long, long time. Turns out he was a friend of a friend and a really nice kid. Said he doesn't remember anything from that night or even from a lot of that week. Ugh. The next one is a video. It says, "Seriously evil shit, watch at your own risk." Do you guys want me to screen share this so that you can see it? I started script writing with a quail pen, and it's great. It sounds like a lot of work, though, Bernadette. Do you guys want me to show you this video? I don't know what's going to be on it. Let me just see if it'll play first before I even try to. Nope, it says video unavailable, so we can completely avoid that. Never mind. Moving on. We're about halfway through this, if anyone's getting sick of this ridiculousness. Mine, you had carpal tunnel surgery. Can you feel in your hands? Bernadette, can you feel your hands now? Mine's permanent nerve damage from a herniated disc. It'll never, unless I have some sort of groundbreaking surgery, I'll never feel it again, but it's only half of like, I could literally probably draw with a pencil line down my arm and hand where I can't feel it. Like you can feel it, you know, like when your hand goes to sleep, you can still feel it, but it's like you can only partly control it, and it goes through spurts, so it's really strange. But it gets cold, like if my hands are cold, that part of my hand is really like an ice cube. Where it didn't load, Autumn, the video isn't there. When I played it, it just said video unavailable, so we can. Oh no, this one's really bad. So just warning you, it's really bad. Dad of a newborn drowned the baby in the sink of their hospital room while the mom was away for tests. Worst day ever to be a nurse in the women and children's unit. That bothers me so much. All right. For 2.5 years, I was an autopsy assistant at one of the busiest morgues in the United States. I spent my days either partnered with a forensic pathologist doing the dirty work, or in a van driving around to crime scenes and hospitals to pick up victims. I saw a lot of evil shit. Daily confirmations that mankind is capable of truly horrible acts. A short summary of one of the worst things I ever saw. Some dad was driving drunk in the rain, flash flood situation, and had his 3 kids plus 2 children that belonged to friends in the back seat. He lost control of the vehicle. I think it involves the use of a cell phone and ended up in a deep ditch with the vehicle sinking in the water. Somehow, he managed to kick out the back window of the car and proceeded to climb out over the 5 kids in the back seat. He swam to the shore and lived. 5 elementary-aged kids drowned. The worst part was that we didn't find all the kids at once. It was like a kid per day all week, further and further down the waterway. Their little school uniforms and high school musical backpacks are burned into my memory. That dad was evil via cowardice. I think that sometimes it takes moments like that to truly find out what people are made of right there, personally. I used to work at a courthouse in town, and one day I needed to speak with a defendant in a domestic violence case. I shook his hand and spoke with him for a bit. I got a really bad vibe from him. Turns out he'd recently been released from prison, where he'd served a 30-year sentence for murdering an 8-year-old. Don't know the circumstances of the crime, but it's the only time in my life that someone has ever actually seemed evil to me. Yeah, like, you know how there's no, if anybody gets these vibes, you'll just be around someone and it doesn't matter what they say or do. There's just something about them that you immediately need to be away from. I get those all the time. But I'm also the person that complete strangers walk up to and tell their life story to, especially in line at the store. Like, what? There's days when it's like I'm not trying to be cruel, but I purposely like give short, quick, polite nods to people, but don't keep eye contact, because I feel like every time I do, people will tell me everything. They just like want to spill everything to me. And there's sometimes when like that's great that people will do that. But there's other times you're just like, I wish I did not just hear what this person said to me. Okay, I got the black suede short that was the green lips and the long sleeve black t-shirt. Ooh, cool. Bernadette, I would love to see pictures of it. If anybody gets any merch from the shop, I would love to see pictures of it. And I do want to know if it's good quality or not. I was looking at other sites because I wanted to branch out, make like socks and other little things that I thought would be cool. Like if I saw someone else with that merch, I would want to buy it. You know what I mean? Someone requested one time that I create underwear merch. So I haven't seen a shop that'll let me do that unless I like make it advance and have it like shipped from my home. So I don't know. Maybe in the future. Let me see here. Happened to me a few months ago. I have an intense fear of heights. A few months ago, I had a party on top of an apartment block in a penthouse, and I made sure I was very, very far from the edge. There were these 2 complete assholes from the grade above me who knew about my fear, so when they were pretty drunk, they overpowered me and leaned me over the edge of a balcony up to the stomach level. Now, these guys are pretty wasted, and we're a good 30 floors up. I passed out from the fear, thinking I was going to die, and woke up 2 hours later to find the 2 guys beaten up and kicked out, and I was still shaking violently. This was literally one of my worst nightmares come true. God, people are dicks. This should be titled 41 Stories of Complete Assholes. That's what this should be called. Oh, no. This one's trigger warning, just letting you guys know, okay? I'm losing my voice. Awesome. Let me see here. This says, I was raped when I was 16 and a sophomore in high school by an older classmate. My friend and her boyfriend were there that night and had a hand in the event taking place. I saw a school friend, her boyfriend, and her boyfriend's cousin. I did not know the two guys at a local restaurant, and she talked about how we were never hung out, so we made plans to hang out that night. I was told we were going to go over to one of the guys' houses to watch a movie and eat pizza with a bunch of other kids. Being 16, I assumed this meant someone's parents' house, so I went along. When we got there, they picked me up and drove. I realized that this was a one-bedroom apartment the two guys shared, and that they were actually older than I thought. They were like 19 and 21, but I still somehow were in high school. Ugh. This was before kids had cell phones, so unless one of them drove me home, I had no way of leaving. There's a lot more to this part, but for the sake of reading, I'll leave it at that. Long story short, everyone but me starts drinking as I nervously try to ignore that this guy, the cousin, is hitting on me hardcore. Because I'm 16 and stupid and invincible, I fell for him talking me into going into the bedroom with him to talk since my friend and her boyfriend started making out on the floor of the living room. Shortly after, he forced himself on me. He was much larger and stronger than me. And being 16 and stupid, you know what? You're not stupid. You're 16. This person was obviously strong-arming you. Anyways, and a good kid, I tried to talk him out of it at first, at one point telling him that my friend and her boyfriend in the living room were going to hear what was happening and come in or call the cops. He then laughed and said that there was no one else in the apartment. Turns out that they had an agreement that as soon as he got me in the bedroom, they were supposed to leave, and they did. I once saw a horrible video depicting this sheep at a game reserve that had been backed up to a fence and was being shot over and over again with arrows by a novice hunter while it just bleated and looked past the fence. At the moment he said that, I felt exactly like that sheep. Over the years, I've always told myself that my friend and her boyfriend must not have known exactly what would happen, or they wouldn't have left me there with him. But I know they probably did, and they were fine with it. I still cannot imagine how two people could be so cold and allow something like that to happen to someone who did nothing to them but be nice, naive, and young. It's not naive. It's not naive to trust people. Let's talk about that for a second. Horrible people are horrible. That's a fact. Got 75% feeling back, but still goes numb at times and to drop things. Yeah, I feel ya. Let's see. This is the next story. Going through homes in Iraq, clearing them. Saw father shoot his own family, then himself, rather than let us help him. 2 8 and 9-year-old children. I don't think that's evil. I think that's a story of complete and utter terror and helplessness and losing your mind in the face of unimaginable things going on around you and you just don't know what else to do. I don't know. This is the next story. My brother was in Bosnia, I believe, before 9/11 and the invasion of Afghanistan, and he told me they came up on a crater that was filled with men, women, and children's bodies who had been lined up and executed. When I was young, I saw a little girl get run over by a car. The person fled the scene, but I think they caught him hours later. Many saw his license plate. Oh my God. Okay. I paused for a second to see this argument that's going on Shannon Rose's channel because I made a comment and there's like a bunch of people commenting on it, not at me, just at each other. So I keep monitoring like what they're saying to each other, deciding if I'm going to delete the comment. But I think Shannon Rose has some moderators so that if the people get too ugly with each other, then they'll just take it down themselves. So I just keep watching that to see what's happening. Let's see. A couple of jobs ago, I worked with two of the best programmers I've ever met. Call them A and B. Our boss, C, was also a programmer and he was good at it, but not as good as A and B. What C was good at was office politics. So, A was one of those guys out of the Mythical Man month who could have done 20 times the work of a normal programmer. Guy should have been working for Google. He also saw himself as being this socially awkward failure, but really he wasn't that socially inept. I'd certainly met worse. He just loved programming. B was more socially awkward and was not good at coding, but he had UI design skills. He also had the I'm just a nerd thing going on. Anyway, at my first Christmas party with this company, I got drunk with C, and he told me that he would be nowhere without A and B. They had all worked together elsewhere before, and A and C went to high school together. This is where I started paying attention. C would make constant subtle jabs at A and B's social awkwardness to reinforce their low self-esteem. I believe that's called gaslighting. Correct me if I'm wrong. Stuff like agreeing with and extending their self-deprecating jokes in a way that sounded funny at first, but that you got to thinking about it later. This was done in order to keep them from developing enough confidence to take their skills elsewhere. I believe a lot of employers do this to people to keep good people instead of paying them properly and just treating them well, which just ends up costing you in the long run. Anyway, when C realized I had figured his game out, he started coming after me. He took my main project away from me to take credit for it. This was a new business line that was shaky when I started it, but I worked hard on it to make the software work and it stabilized. Right when all the other lines of business at this company started going south. C needed to have a success on his plate because he was going to get our VP fired. He got this done by kissing the asses of all the VP's peers and above while refusing to allow A and B or myself to work on the VP's pet project, which we could have saved. The project crashed and lost a few $1 million and the VP was out the door. And hey, everyone knows C now, and he's a smart guy, so let's make him the VP. Wow, this story is crazy. But I think this is pretty common. The higher you go up in like big corporations, people screw people over like it's nothing. When A and B started grousing about longer hours, he bought them all kinds of stuff, a huge grill, new PCs, whatever they wanted. He protected them at all costs while hanging the rest of us out. I left about 6 months after this. The most evil part of what he did to A and B was they were too socially unskilled to realize that they were being manipulated. They thought C was actually their friend, but guys like him don't have friends. They have tools. Not exactly rape or kidnap, but it's the most calculating shit I've seen in high school. Yeah, I believe that would be defined as sociopathic. I could also be wrong. Let's see. Let's go on. We are number 30. And I had to skip one of them, so really this would be 29. Because that one had a video that didn't play. Okay, so I witnessed one fuck-ass trying to convince a sad teenager to kill himself. Oh, trigger warning, and didn't even know. The kid looked like he gave up all hope. He wasn't arguing back, he was just taking it all. As this monster was walking away, I then punched him right in his jaw. He dropped like Patrick Swayze. Like Patrick Swayze? When did Patrick Swayze ever drop? Anyway, I hope that other kid is doing all right today. Yeah, I don't know what kind of inhumane people think that that's acceptable, but whatever. About 9 years ago, I was a passenger in my friend's car driving west on I-70 toward the Lake of the Ozarks. While still on 70, I looked over toward the eastbound side and saw a woman get out of her car, let her dog out, get back in, and drive off while the dog was running after the car on the side of the interstate. To this day, I regret not telling my friend to get off the next exit and head eastbound to pick up the dog. Now, if possible, I try to rescue strays. I hope someone witnessed the same atrocity and got the evil woman's... Oh my God. I wish I would have known. That's what that was going to say. Anyway, can anybody still hear me? I'm going to check my thing here. Hello. Is this frozen? Can anyone still hear me? Testing. Hello. Okay. Well, when I come back to check and see if anyone said anything, I'm just like, uh-oh. That's my unpredictable internet or computer. Still not sure which one it is. Okay. I live in a small town area, and it's about 2,000 people. So crimes of any sort are noted widely. A couple of years ago, we had something that still chills us. So some boys broke into a house one night, but before they broke in, they had decided that if they found anyone in there, they would kill them. So they break in armed with machetes and find a mother and her 12-year-old girl. They ended up killing the mother and maiming the girl. The girl lost many of her toes, has much scarring, and had to watch her mother die in front of her. The next day, after the crime was committed, the boys went to church as if nothing happened. They went to school after that, and no one noticed anything different about them. They were eventually caught and prosecuted fully. The fact that those boys knew what they were doing beforehand and then went through with it on a little girl is just monstrous. The fact that they did it at all is monstrous. Oh, no. I'm not reading that one because it's animal cruelty. So skipping on, number 34. Oh, I've never read this one before. There's a bar where I live in Michigan. I live here too. I'm going to figure out where this is at. Exactly 3 times. First time, car broken into. Dead grandpa's golf club stolen from it. Second time, 5 friends wrongly accused of rape. The accuser is still in prison, doesn't pay to make that up. My car got stolen within 10 minutes of arriving at the bar. Thieves crashed into patrol car and run. I'm later arrested as a result for leaving the scene of an accident and felony assault on a peace officer. Car as a deadly weapon. By the same cop who had written my stolen car report. He had zero recollection of me 2 hours after completing the report, and I spent 2 days in jail. Oh my God. Wow. Shorty's Bar and Grill. I'm going to figure out where that's at right now. Shorty's Bar and Grill. It sounds very familiar. Where is this? It's in Waterford. Yeah, it's not very far from me at all. I'll give you my exact location away. Not that I have any one around. Okay. Psychotic neighbor. Oh, no. Okay, this one is violent too, but I mean, everyone wanted to hear the evil stories, so I'm just going to stop saying trigger warning and just heads up. All these stories are awful. All of them. Ugh. Psychotic neighbor. Everyone in the neighborhood was terrified of him. Why did everyone in the neighborhood put up with him, first of all? I don't put up with that crap at all. I'm going to tell you a short story about my wonderful neighbor right now. So I live in this like a regular neighborhood, nothing fancy. We all have like ranches or someone like added on a second story, no big deal. But the house next to us is the only rental house on the road. And this guy that owns the house, my other neighbor said that when he lived there, like the cops came all the time because he was always like beating up his girlfriend or something crazy. So when my previous neighbor, who has now passed away, I'll just leave it at that. She wasn't very old. She was a mother of 4 and she passed away. She didn't pass away in the house. She had already bought a different house, but the house, I mean, we had a lot of memories with her and her kids there. So when she moved out to buy her own house, it was sat empty for, I want to say 6 or 7 months before my neighbors that live there now live there. And I don't think they're bad people. They're just young and they need to like live in the country away from us, because since they've moved in, every holiday or anything that can be deemed a holiday, they have what can only be deemed as a pledge week frat party, where one time they literally had people camping out in their lawn. And it's not like our yards are like huge and that far apart. And literally right up against our fence down the little hill next to our house, they literally pinned a tarp to the floor, put baby oil on it, had people like lined up against the side of our house, partying at the full blast. Like when you're young, I don't care if you do that, but when you're like doing it in front of my kids, I care. And so about 2 weeks ago, they were having another party. Not sure what holiday this was for because there wasn't one. I've never called the police on these people. I've never said a word to them about their party. I just stay away from them. I try to keep the peace. But this last time they had somebody in their front yard. It was like almost midnight. And my husband is tired, man. He works his butt off. So when he goes to sleep, I think it's considerate, since it's like midnight, to not scream at the top of your lungs. Well, these people invite this, it must be the same girl, over to their house for every party, and she screams at the top of her lungs in their front yard, which is like, I don't know, 100 feet from our bedroom window, screaming at the top of her lungs, woo, woo. And then I open the door to check to see, like, what is this? Is someone hurt? No, she's just probably drunk and screaming. And they've got like tons of people in their driveway. So I scream at the top of my lungs, shut the fuck up. And silence. Didn't hear anything. But the guy won't talk to my husband at all now, which is fine with me. I don't care. I mean, it kind of bummed my husband out because, you know, it's nice to be chatty with your neighbors, but it didn't bum me out at all. I'm sick of it. I never call the cops on them because I'm a person that feels like I try to wager. Do I need to get the law involved in something that I can handle myself? And he's told us before, if we're too loud, just let us know. And I've never said a word, not the entire time that they've lived there. But, yeah, they know now. They're just lucky I didn't go out there. You could have had 50 people, 100 people in your front yard, but I'm not going to listen to that. That's just rude and inconsiderate. Do your own thing. Okay. Oh, now everyone's just now getting to the, can you hear me now? Okay, I'm going back now. That's my rant. I'm over with it. I'm not someone that likes to harbor things. You know how people are like have grudges. My thing is if I have something to say to you, I'm going to say it right now and get it out, because I don't want that lingering in my body. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm going to get it out right now, get it out of my head, and let's move on from it. And most people can't do that. I realize that. I realize it. I get it. But I can. That's how I deal with stuff. I have too much other stuff that I'm always going to have to deal with from my life. I don't need someone's extra garbage clouding up my head. So, plus the world is crazy. So, thanks. I'm glad to know that you guys can hear me. Can you still hear me after my rant? VNet. Oh, hello. I didn't say hello to you, but yet. I'm going to go back and make sure I didn't miss anyone else. Okay. So far now. Okay. So anyway, back to the neighbor story. Everyone's terrified of the guy. So one night, his very pregnant, this isn't my neighbor. This is the stories again. Okay. So one night, because if this was my neighbor, he would just be gone. No questions asked, no admission of guilt. He would just be gone. One night, his very pregnant wife is seen flying down the road in their van with him hot on her ass and his pickup truck trying to pull her over. She stops right in front of our driveway, gets out and tries to run toward our house, but it's too late. He snatches a handful of her hair and jerks her off her feet, slamming her into the ground. As we're calling 911, we can see him absolutely brutalizing her, punching, kicking, stomping. We yell out of the front door for him to stop. He's killing her, but he threatens to kill us too, so we stay inside because we know he'd make good on that threat. Really, a group of people? He's going to kill a group of people? No. Cops show up, but he's already gone. Wife, a battered mess in the middle of the road. Later found out she'd lost one of the twins she was carrying on the other night, and the other came out with a deformed face from the beating. She went back to him after the hospital stay and refused to press charges like all the other times he's beaten her senseless. Bonus story, he left a bag of severed puppy heads on the back porch for his own children to find as punishment for not doing their chores. Yeah, there's no way I would have let that guy beat up his... No way. I probably would have taken the beating, and I would have made it my mission in life to get that fucking guy out of my neighborhood and get him put in jail. I'm never going to understand. I'm not judging women that don't press charges, but I'm never going to understand that, because someone that hits you or your kids, they're not going to change, not going to get better or get worse. It's unacceptable. One of the things I've noticed that they've started doing is charging the mothers for not protecting their children, and I think that's a very important thing to do, and it's not to punish the women. It's to make sure that you do press charges when these lunatics go after people that are, what is it called, the syndrome, where you have sympathy for your abuser. Stockholm syndrome. Good rant. Oh. Coffee's still settling in, so yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I wake up like a tornado, and sometimes I wake up like yesterday. It took me half the day to come out of my sleep. I woke up with drool all over my face. If anyone ever sleeps that hard, it was just great. But then it takes like the whole day to get your thoughts together, and it's just... Yesterday was a wash. Anyway, Castle law. Someone threatens my life on my property. I have legal recourse. Yeah. Arcelia, are you the one that lives in Texas? I have a large family that lives in Texas. I don't know if they're all... I don't know if everyone's last name is Anglin. I don't know if that was just my grandpa's last name. But yeah, if Texas is on my list of if I could live elsewhere. I don't know if I could physically tolerate it because of I'm accustomed to the cushy winters here. I mean, it does take a lot to live through the winters here, but yep. My grandpa, the last place he lived before he died was Paris, Texas. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that because I did 2 other live streams about him. He was one of my favorite people on the planet. Anyway, back to the stories. This is number 36. My best friend got beat up by a group of guys over a cigarette. They asked her for one, and she said no. Her cheekbone was broken, needed stitches. Whilst trying to run away, she tried to flag down a passing taxi for help, but it just drove past her. She somehow made it near her house, and her neighbor came out with a bat, and the fuckers ran away. Here's a tip, and this is like this in my house. Behind every door is a bat. We have guns. Yeah, you can say all you want about guns, but we have locks that are on the guns that make it so that it's a lock on the gun that goes through the barrel and the handle. So if you don't even have the key, you can't even get into the gun. So we're very big on gun safety, and no one's even allowed near our bedroom. Anyways, I'm getting off track. Anyway, I know people are like very anti-gun because of shootings, but I can go on a rant about that too. Because if you take guns away from innocent people who know what they're doing and know their gun safety, and you take all their guns away, people that do these horrible things, these mass shootings, will attain weapons through other means. Good law-abiding citizens don't do what these people have done and continue to do. Bad people find a bad way so that they can do bad things. That logic has been true and will continue to be true forever. And it doesn't matter if there's no guns in existence. If there were no guns on the planet, bad people will still find a way to do bad things because that seems to become some sort of mental mission for them. And, we can talk about mental health, but the last thing with the New York City thing that inspired Trump to revoke the diversity lottery visas, which I'm not even sure on the whole thing how that works. But he said that that's how that guy, apparently, that's how that last terrorist got into the country. But that's a whole nother live stream, so I'm just going to continue with the stories. Okay. 37. I watched a kid from my school bury a cat up to its neck and then run it over with a lawnmower, and I couldn't think straight for, oh my God, I wish I would have known that that's what that was going to say. Like, I figured, I'm sure it's bad, but not that bad because it's only 2 sentences, but it was really bad. I mean, I read some terrible stuff, and you have no idea how many times I have to stop the recording and go, what the fuck? I don't know. Just, wow. All right, number 38. I knew a girl in college who faked terminal cancer. Oh my God, this is pure evil right here. She got a lot of sympathy and compassion from myself and a lot of our friends. A few of us shaved our heads in solidarity for her when she shaved hers because she knew, quote marks, her hair was going to fall out. The worst part was when she walked into the supervisor's lap of Relay for Life. Once she got outed as a liar, this was the biggest insult and affront to me. I have a fraternity brother and very close friend who was struggling with cancer, and her lies and bullshit insult the very real struggle that so many people have gone through. She wanted attention because she wasn't dying. I understand that she has some serious mental health issues, but it still makes me very angry. It makes me angry too because my neighbor I was just talking about passed away from cancer. A girl that I knew since she was 8. I know several people under the age of 20 that had cancer for a large portion of their life who passed away from it, and they never got to grow up and worry about all this bullshit that people worry about every day that doesn't mean anything or matter. And for someone to fake cancer, I don't know. You're right up there with the neighbor that put the puppies' heads in a bag, to me. Yeah. I keep an axe handle behind my front door. I'm like you about the guns. Yep, that's Texas. Yep, Texas justice. That's how I'll word that. And I know that you're probably shaking your head up and down because I know what you're saying and you know what I'm saying. It's called Texas. I think guns would have come in handy with some of those mob situations from the earlier stories. See, I don't know, because in a mob situation, you could have an innocent person mixed in with the crowd, and so that's why everyone shouldn't have a gun, because that wouldn't be a responsible thing to do, firing into a crowd. There's no way that I, having shot a gun, would ever do that. Right. If a group of people comes near your house, you want to be able to stop them. So picture this: you're in your home with maybe your kids, and 50 people are at your door. How much weaponry do you believe it would take to stop 50 people? I don't even think you'd have to mess with all 50 of them. I think that once you take down 1 or 2 of them, either the crowd's going to become so irate that they destroy your house by hand, or they're going to get so scared they run away. Those are the 2 things. Yeah, see, our Celia laughing and nodding here. Yep. It's not a vigilante justice. One time I heard a story about, I was reading a story about Texas, and I think it was on the news, but it was so like nonchalant, and I think it really should have been out there more. There was a man who walked in on another man who was molesting his child, and he shot him, and he served no time, which he shouldn't. I mean, if anyone thinks that he did wrong, you can just go now, because I have no tolerance or patience for people that violate innocent beings, elderly, handicapped, children, animals. There's a special place in hell for you, but if you can't get there on your own, I'll sure as hell help you go there. I don't care. I'm at the point now where I feel like, especially where I live, I don't know how it is everywhere else. Our public safety funding is at bottom of the pool. It seems that they have purposely made our public safety funding non-existent so that we're almost forced to protect ourselves. And then you have people that are like, no guns allowed. Well, where I live, which is an hour north of Detroit and 20 minutes south of Flint, you know what? To each your own, but not in my house. Yeah. We know how to fight dirty. And anyways, moving on. Yeah, Cancer autumn is a terrible thing. If I can find it, I'll post it somewhere on my social media. I don't know. I think I read it on social media. There's a girl. I don't even think she was 18. Actually, I found it on Pinterest. She is not even 18, and she found a particle that will actually literally eat cancer cells. I believe that there are a lot of things out there for cancer research that we are not utilizing, because cancer drugs are big money for pharmaceutical companies. And when you find a cure, well, then where's your money going to go? We were talking about this yesterday at my house, and I was going to save it. Let me see if I just found this article. And I know I'm getting sidetracked, but if anyone's new here, squirrel. I don't know if I can scroll down to find this girl. Nope, I think it's under a different thing. But if I find it, then I'll share it with you guys. But just got a new 9mm. Awesome. I lost 2 people who were very dear to me because of it. Yeah. In the future, I think it'll be like cancer's been around for a long, long time. But the fact that it exists, it's so concentrated. I feel like it's a simple solution that's, if the right research was done, would prevent and eliminate it in the future. A cop is too heavy. Yep. Let me see. Okay, let me go on. Let me just, there's only a couple more here. 2 of them are okay. Number 39. Old lady purposely slamming on her brakes with motorcyclists behind her. One slams into her back, throwing both old motorcyclists onto the trunk of her car. They were both hurt pretty badly. Another motorcyclist had to go off the road, and they hit a pole. The guy was okay, but his wife hit her ankle on the pole. The old lady got out exclaiming angrily that she didn't do anything wrong. Her turn signal was on. Bunch of bullshit. Her blinker was not on, and everyone who had been exiting the store was facing the road, saw what happened. She looked like she was ready to bolt, and she had this cold look on her face. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You just severely injured 2 old people on a motorcycle, and you don't even care. I feel like there's 2 kinds of motorcycle drivers, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's the kind that they take really good care of how they prepare themselves to be on a motorcycle, and they're very respectful of the road rules. And then there's number 2. You are racing and dodging in and out of traffic, riding everyone's ass, and getting mad at other people because they can't see you. But if you were driving like that in a car, no one would see you either. So if you ride a motorcycle, don't drive like a dick. There are some really careless car drivers out there that don't stop for cars. So you're like double jeoparding yourself in the misery pool there by not being careful. I don't understand it. Bernadette, carry a gun because now I've heard 2 things about Hawaii. Number 1 is it's beautiful, and number 2, the crime there is awful. So am I wrong, Bernadette? And it depends on which island you're on too, or area of which island you're on, because there were a lot of if you want to be a teacher, come to Hawaii thing, and everyone was like, don't do it because number one, the violence is really bad. Number two, they're never going to pay you a salary where you can afford to live in Hawaii because it's so expensive. But I'm going to finish. I'm going to wait for that reply, but I'm going to go read the other story while I do that. Okay. This story starts out where it says, I saw real evil twice. In 1989, a North Korean prison barge broke loose in a storm carrying 39 prisoners and 4 guards out to sea. My ship found them. I won't go into detail about what happened to the men and women and 1 infant, but after we sent the guards back to North Korea, they didn't want to return and sent the prisoners to Australia. North Korea accused us of piracy. Wow. In 1991, my ship pulled into Abu Dhabi. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I hired a Pakistani as a guide/interpreter, and we just wandered around the city. While shopping in the souk, I noticed that there was one and only one female not covered in head to toe, and she was following a woman closely. I noticed her because she had bright red hair. I asked my guide if foreign women didn't have to be covered, and he responded, only if you are unintelligible, which I couldn't make out the last word. So after a few seconds, he said, whatever the word was, means slave. It's not legal, but it is tolerated. She was about 4 years old. Oh my God. Yeah, so if anyone's unaware of this, slavery is very prevalent, even in America, right under people's noses. I feel like I'm going to finish this last story because I'm going to go on a rant again. So I don't want to get distracted. Anyway, this is the 41. This is the last one. Back in elementary school, I witnessed a classmate steal another kid's holographic Charizard. Oh my God, it's a Pokemon thing. That was the last one, but slavery and human trafficking. I know I was going to go off on a rant there because of that. There's this one thing I've been reading about November 4th, and I haven't got into too great detail about it, so I'm not sure if anyone else has heard about it or if you know more about it than I do. But it's been freaking me out because tomorrow is November 4th, and there's some sort of movement that's supposed to be happening against the United States tomorrow, and there's supposed to be some sort of massive power grid outage from the 4th to the 6th. Of course, this is plotted to be on purpose, which it seems like now if it's in the news and people know about it, it will be prevented or delayed, or something else will happen, because once people know about it, I don't think it's going to happen. It seems like too obvious to me. What was I going to say? Has anyone else heard anything about that? I was going to Google it so I could read that too. But I don't want to stress someone else out about it. I just wondered if anyone else has heard about it. It is theorized that November 4th will be a U.S. civil war tomorrow. I'm trying to Antifa planning communist revolution for America on November 4th. So let me open this up. If anyone wants to hear it, I'll keep reading. If not, I'll just move on. Have you heard anything about it, Arcelia? Good morning, Scarlet Witch. Cool name. Sometimes I wish my name was cooler. I try to load this article. Okay, here it says something about and I don't really understand what Antifa is, so pardon my ignorance. This says the communists and the Antifa. Can anyone explain to me what the Antifa is? I guess I could Google it, but it might be faster just to ask someone that knows. Anybody? Anybody at all? Okay. Antifa are planning to begin a revolution in America on Saturday, November 4th, almost exactly 100 years after the Bolshevik Revolution that took Russia out of the frying pan of the Tsarist rule and into the fire of communist totalitarianism. Oh my God. That's the worst pronunciation I've done of something in a while, and I'm really sorry, but it just all looks like a big blur. While some see Antifa activists as the modern heroes of the anti-fascism, fighting against racism, sexism, and a litany of other isms, the others see them merely as the snowflake crowd of spoiled brats demanding free everything. The reality is that Antifa is one tool in the communist toolbox to bring America to her knees. And Saturday, November 4th, 2017, is the day they have chosen for the opening salvo in the American Bolshevik Revolution. While I am not a big fan of Civil War, I believe that there is a huge thing that needs to happen here. Our government is out of control. They are on Twitter like they're celebrities. They're getting these massive salaries from taxpayers, and they forget where that money comes from. Your salary is paid for by taxpayers. That's why you have money. That's what your job is supposed to be, is for us, and they've all seemed to have forgotten that. Trump has been in office trying to change this and change that, but never coming up with a real plan at all to benefit America at all. He talks badly about, it's just a lot of talk and a lot of wasting money and time. In that time, we could have given everyone in America free health care just on the money spent on his Gulf trips alone. I was reading an article about, no, actually, I think we were talking about in a live stream about, what's the last stream before that, about healthcare. Like, we're the only country, one of the few countries that don't have healthcare for its citizens. Yet it's one of the richest countries in the world. Does that make sense to anyone else? And there's people like, well, I don't want to pay for someone else. Well, you're already paying for all these people to have $300 ties and $500 haircuts and go on vacation and never do anything to serve America. So I'm kind of confused on where that logic comes from. Yep, that's the problem. It's being rubbed by a B-list celebrity. Yep. Right, and they're not... The government started to come away from taxes. That was the whole mission in coming here, was to get away from the rule of the queen and paying taxes. And not only have they switched that all around and completely... Let's just forget the whole fact that they committed genocide on American Indians, and then want to turn away refugees or people that aren't citizens here, which, unless you are 100% Native American, you aren't a citizen here either. Like, you're not an origin of the country. So I don't understand the logic. I thought we are the only. There's another one. We're the only first world country, I believe. You're right. I think we're the only first world country that doesn't have universal health care. There are other places that don't have it, but they're not wealthy countries. The fact that we don't have it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, we could have a whole live stream just on this. And I know that people don't want to talk about this, but I feel like, when are you going to talk about it? It's the same as people don't want to talk about addiction or mental health issues, but if you don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? People don't want to talk about things because it's uncomfortable. Well, in comes me, because I like talking about things that are uncomfortable, because you don't solve problems by not talking about them. And maybe talking about it doesn't solve anything, but it sure as hell wakes people up. And we're at a critical time. We have someone in power that is creating problems for us that we didn't have before. And it's not like other countries viewed us as the best country in the world in the first place. But he's really not helping anything. Okay. He's the one that made me learn street fighting at 16. Oh, your uncle? It's in the mafia. Okay. And that's what everything around you is a weapon. Right, including your teeth. Side note, if you didn't know, you can use your teeth as a weapon. No links allowed. The Snopes article about November 4th. The true side of Hawaii a lot of tourists don't see is that we're raised on a Maui. I was raised in old Hawaiian days. A lot of mana, a lot of aloha. Yeah. And now it just... This stream started out really positive, and now I feel like it's going downhill. So I'm going to stop talking about the bad stuff. I was trying to find the article on the girl. I just want to know if anyone's thoughts on November 4th to see if it was like a legit thing to be concerned about or just something that I should stop reading because it makes me get too paranoid. I don't know, paranoid. I'm not paranoid for myself, you see, when something bad happens. I'm not concerned about my own safety. That doesn't happen. My concern is for people that can't protect themselves, including the children that I care for. And that's what I get concerned about. That's what becomes the big concern and worry about the world. When you don't, I don't know how it is for anyone that doesn't have children. I don't know how it is like when you think of like war or tragedies. But for me, that's where the concern lies. Like, what will happen to them? How can I protect them? So I know that people are like dying off now. There's only 7 people watching. And I've been talking for almost 2 straight hours. I'm going to lose my voice. Let me see. I just wanted to see if I could find that article about the girl that found the cancer gene or the thing that, I don't know. Let me see. It was a few weeks ago, and I found it on Pinterest. So I don't know if I'll be able to find it because if anybody else is on Pinterest, you can really go down a rabbit hole there that you can't get out of. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's still watching or still listening to me ramble. I went down a Dr. Phil rabbit hole, was it yesterday or the day before? Because I woke up and I always check like my social media, like I glance through it to see if there's anything. I don't really respond first thing in the morning, but you go on YouTube and see like any notifications I have. But then my home tab will like suggest videos to you. And the first thing like on that list was a Dr. Phil video, which I thought was weird. So I watch it and then I just like start clicking on all the Dr. Phil things. I'm like, oh no, I went down a bad rabbit hole I can't get out of now. But I was trying to find the girl that found the genome that helps eat cancer cells, which I think you would think would be something in the news. You would think that would be something that you hear about all over the place, but you don't. Why is that? Girl or boy, anyone or man or woman who finds that, don't you think we should be talking about that like wildfire? And I can't even find it now. Makes me so mad. Anyway. All right. I think I might wrap this up now because I'm rambling and going way off topic. And now I freaked everybody out about November 4th, or I'm just freaking myself out. I don't know. So if anyone is still listening, I want to thank you guys for coming to the live stream. Because, yeah. It says 9 people watching now. So you 9 people that are watching, you're awesome. Actually, I think it says 17 likes. So thank you, 17 people that came and watched and listened to me go off of my rants. I think that's a good reason why I pre-record stuff to read too, because if I had like these, if I had them all in a live read, I would constantly go off off topic, and they would be 3 to 4 hours long every time. And I don't think everyone would want to listen to that. Or maybe they would. Maybe they think I'm a lunatic. Who cares? Anyways, I'm going to say have a good day, everybody. And thank you for coming and listening. And just a reminder for anyone who wasn't here to hear that this month will be once a week on the channel, once a week on Patreon, because I have 2 audiobooks to complete this month. And I want to let you guys know that, so you don't feel like I abandoned you, or that I'm not like, I'm just letting you know where I'll be. But yes, thanks for the coffee talk. For anybody who gets that reference, you get 400 brownie points, and I don't have any prizes for that. It's just bragging rights. Wasn't here for long, but dig it. It'll be up, so if you want to listen to my insane ramblings, you can. Anyways, everybody have a good day. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.